Sometimes ships and airplanes just vanish into thin air. In some cases, there's evidence that something went wrong, such as an emergency call or a distress signal. But, in many cases, nothing indicates that something went wrong. Even after extensive searches, no sign of the missing vessel or its crew and passengers is ever found. What's going on? Are these cases connected somehow, or are they all unrelated? And what might be the reason for these events? Here are 5 possible answers to the question. Before we get started, be sure to hit that like button for more videos, and stick around until the end to learn about one of the most well-known cases of a ship disappearing without a trace: magnetic disturbances. Many ships and airplanes carry essential equipment that relies on magnets and electricity to work properly, including compasses and GPS systems. This equipment helps them keep track of where they are and where they're headed. It turns out that somewhere between the Gulf Stream and the Bahamas, something weird happens to the Earth's magnetic field. Some scientists believe that when ships and planes fly through this area, it interferes with the equipment that uses magnetism to navigate. So, instead of continuing their planned routes, these vessels get diverted off course. They might even circle around in random patterns, or wind up in completely different locations. If this is true, it could explain why so many ships and planes have gone missing in the Caribbean over the years. Unfortunately, we don't know much about how magnetic fields work, so it's hard to say whether this theory has any merit. What we do know is that strange things happen to compasses near the Earth's magnetic poles. So, perhaps something similar occurs here. Whether this is enough to cause a massive cargo ship to disappear, however, is another story. Severe weather conditions. Storms can appear suddenly over the ocean and turn into hurricanes in a matter of hours. When winds reach 74 miles per hour or more, they're considered a hurricane. They often cause massive waves that can easily capsize a boat. Planes can also run into trouble during severe storms. If they're caught in strong winds, they might be blown off course or even fall out of the sky. It's also worth noting that even if a plane manages to stay airborne, it still needs to land at some point. And if it can't find a safe place to land due to bad weather, it might eventually run out of fuel. While this is a plausible explanation for how some ships and planes go missing, it doesn't explain why they seemingly vanish without a trace. The U.S. Coast Guard receives regular reports of ships and planes that are overdue or missing at sea. In some cases, searchers will find debris or wreckage that gives them some clues as to what happened. However, in other cases, nothing is ever found, which makes it difficult to figure out exactly what caused the disappearance. Methane gas eruptions. Huge amounts of methane gas are released from vents on the ocean floor. Vents are cracks in the sea floor that allow water and minerals to escape. They are often found near volcanic areas, and they can release methane gas, as well as hydrogen sulfide and carbon dioxide. These gases are heavier than air, so they tend to stay close to the seafloor. However, under certain circumstances, they can become trapped in the water column and form bubbles. When this happens, the gas bubbles can cause the surrounding water to become less dense. That means that if a ship were to sail through an area with lots of methane gas bubbles, it would essentially be floating. It might seem like fun at first, but it soon becomes a serious problem because the ship will eventually drift too far away from its intended course. Eventually, it will either run out of fuel or be pushed into dangerous waters, where it will sink like a stone. There are many vents on the ocean floor near the Bahamas, so it is possible that ships have sailed through areas with lots of methane gas bubbles and gotten lost. However, there's no evidence that this has ever happened. Human error. Sometimes ships and planes disappear because someone makes a mistake. For example, a pilot might take the wrong course, or a sailor might misjudge the weather. Mechanical failures can also play a role. For example, A ship's engine might break down, or a plane's instruments might malfunction. Human error is a common cause of disappearances, but it doesn't explain why so many ships and planes go missing in this particular area. In fact, it doesn't really make sense that so many people would make the same mistake at the same time. We should also mention that while many ships and planes do disappear every year, most of them are found eventually, so it seems likely that human error isn't to blame in most cases. The Bermuda Triangle. The Bermuda Triangle is a region in the western part of the North Atlantic Ocean, where many ships and planes have disappeared. It's roughly bound by Miami, Bermuda, and Puerto Rico. According to legend, anything that enters the Bermuda Triangle vanishes without a trace. While this is likely an exaggeration, there have been many incidents in the area that we still don't understand. Between 1918 and 1963, 52 ships and planes vanished in the Bermuda Triangle. That works out to roughly one disappearance every 2 months. Some people believe that the Bermuda Triangle is a dangerous place where ships and planes go to die. However, others argue that it's no more dangerous than any other part of the ocean. A study published in 1974 concluded that most of the incidents that occur in the Bermuda Triangle can be explained by human error, mechanical problems, or bad weather. In other words, the same factors that cause ships and planes to disappear elsewhere. In fact, the United States Coast Guard says that there is no evidence to support the idea that the Bermuda Triangle is any more dangerous than any other part of the ocean. The Bermuda Triangle may be a good mystery for books and movies, but it's probably not the cause of these mysterious disappearances. In reality, it's probably a combination of factors that causes most ships and planes to disappear. Sometimes it's bad weather, sometimes it's human error, and in some cases, it's probably methane gas bubbles. While we may never know exactly what happened to all of the missing ships and planes, we can at least take comfort in the fact that most of them are found eventually. In addition to these factors, there are some other things that can cause ships and planes to disappear. For example, pirates were once a major problem in the Caribbean, and it's possible that some of the missing ships were captured by pirates. Of course, piracy is much less common today, so it's unlikely that it's responsible for any recent disappearances. Now let us tell you about one of the most famous cases of a ship disappearing without a trace. The USS Cyclops was an American Navy collier that was sailing from Rio de Janeiro to Salvador, Brazil in March of 1918. When it disappeared, the ship was carrying a cargo of manganese ore. When it sent out a radio transmission saying that it had encountered rough seas and had lost power. After that, the ship's radio went silent, and it was never heard from again. The Cyclops was supposed to arrive in Brazil 3 days later, but it never did. A search was conducted, but no trace of the ship was found. It is believed that the Cyclops was lost due to a combination of bad weather and a possible German U-boat attack. However, this is just a theory, and the truth is still unknown. Over 300 crew members were on board when the ship disappeared, and none of them were ever seen again. There are many theories about what happened to the ship and its crew, but the truth is, we may never know what really happened to the USS Cyclops. What do you think caused the ship to disappear? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to hit that like button for more videos. Thanks for watching.